everyone, Piano Man Chuck here, and I'm here today with the Casio Privia PX-560 and the new Casio Privia PX-S3000. Now, the Casio PX-560 is currently Casio's flagship model in the slab piano series. It is their top of the line. The PX-S3000 is brand new. It is not the top of the line for the previous series, but it is brand new and it sets a lot of new features to it and a new look and everything. It's redesigned from scratch. Everything about it is new. Now, these really should not be compared at all. So why am I comparing these? Because I'm getting so many people that are saying, oh, what's better, the PX560 or the PX-S3000? What should I go with? What should I choose? Yes, the 3000 is so good, but it is not a 560. They're two different categories altogether. So let me go over some of the differences over here between the two. All right, now the PX-S3000 and the PX-560 weigh right about the same. This is just under 25 pounds, and this is around 26 pounds. So not much difference there. The difference here is the size. This is the slimmest keyboard on the market that is a full 88 key weighted hammer action. So that is a first for Casio. The keys are different. They're a whole new breed of key action here. Now, for at least a decade, Casio's been using this previous key action that they've had. They went through a couple of iterations, but this one's completely new. And to get it in a case that's so much slimmer than this one, they had to come up with a new key design from scratch. And as small as this looks compared to that, the difference under the hood, the part that you can't see, it's only 1/8 of an inch. And if you look, this has some wobble to it. Not much, but some. This has none. No wobble at all. And it is a real pleasure to play. Now, you can go a little bit deeper in the as you play into the keys, closer to the fall board. It's easier to play into on the older model, which is a triple sensor type action. This one, around that last 1/4 of an inch, it takes a little bit more pressure than this to get those keys to sound. Now, while you're playing it, you will never notice that difference. If you're looking for it and actively testing it, yeah, you notice the difference. But anyway, let's get into the major differences here besides the obvious. Okay, now, the PX-S3000 also has the ability to run on battery power. I mean, they both have built-in amp and speakers. They're both 16 watts, 8 on each side. But this one can run on battery power, 6 AA batteries as well as an AC adapter. So that's one good thing right there. You can actually go out in the street and busk with this, or into a park, or wherever you take this to. The next thing is the piano is different. Now, the old one was a Steinway. I'm not sure which one. They don't say which one. But this one also a German piano that they sampled this after, a 9-foot concert grand. Well, listen to the difference here. This is the 560. And the 3000. The action on this is such that it's pretty quiet compared to this. This is really noisy. I've done another video that compares these two as far as key action and everything. Check that out and you'll hear how much noisier these keys are over these when you play it with no sound enabled. It makes a big difference. Alright, also this has Bluetooth. Only for audio. Just audio. So we've got Bluetooth capability here. So if you've got an MP3 player or a smartphone or whatever, and you can transmit that over here and play it through the built-in amp and speakers. Also, it has this really awesome new app called Cordana Play for Piano. I've done a video on that that's separate from this. You might want to check that out because that's really cool. While this has a touch screen and it's a big 5.3 inch, this has like a 3-line black and white. It's not touch or anything, but with that app, it turns it into the size of your smartphone or tablet. That becomes an enhanced screen right there with color. It's a touch screen and it is just awesome. And all of these buttons here, they're not really buttons. Like these has physical buttons right here. This one has no physical buttons except for the on-off switch and a volume control. Other than that, it's free of any mechanical or physical switches or buttons. These are all capacitive touch and they're all lit. So if you want to change something, you just press and things change. So they're context sensitive depending on where you are. Some of the lights will go off, other lights will come on, and so on and so forth. So there's no noise or anything. Now the advantage to this is if you're in a poorly lit venue and you've got a gig going or a dark venue, you don't have to set up a flashlight or use your cell phone to get some light on here or whatever. Everything is lit and well labeled. So that's another advantage of this. And you've got 5 touch velocities on this, whereas on this you have 3. It helps. And I never had a problem with this in the normal mode, but on this one I always use the lightest, light 2. Light 2, light 1, normal, heavy 1, heavy 2. And it helps. So 2 completely different keyboards. Key actions are different. Samples are even different. Listen to this. I mean, besides the sound, listen to the length. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pretty much gone. Try this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so that longer samples as well. And the other thing they have is you can buy an optional pedal with this that Casio puts out. It's a triple pedal. It's model SP34. That's actually this pedal right here. Very cool. It supports half damping as well as the other 2 normal functions for soft and sostenuto. Whereas you could get the 3 pedal feature on the older Privia series, but it required that you bought a stand for it to mount on. It wouldn't work any other way. So with this working on the floor as a standalone unit, that solves a lot of problems for a lot of people. So people wanted half damping before with an older Privia. You'd have to take a stand with you if you wanted to do a gig. This one, no problem. All right, so now let's get into it. The connections on the back here, everything is well labeled on the front over here. The connections here, nothing is labeled at all. So let's go through the back panel first, okay? Now, starting with the PX-S3000, going from your right to left. First, we have the DC 12-volt input from your power mains. Then you have an expression or assignable pedal input. Then you have your line outputs, left mono or left and right. Okay. Then you have your audio input, which is an 1/8 inch stereo TRS, so that you can connect up your phone, your MP3 player, any other thing that gives you stereo signal with an 1/8 inch TRS cable. Then that optional triple pedal that I was talking about, there's a jack specially for that because it's a proprietary pedal and cable. Then the damper pedal, which is a switched pedal. Then you have a USB A and B connections. And on the front panel, you have 2 stereo headphone jacks, the 1/8 inch type. Now, on the back of the PX-560, That's a completely different story. This is more geared for gigging or studio work. So let's go through those from the right to the left. First, you have your left and right line outputs. Left alone is mono, or left and right combined for stereo. Then you have an audio volume knob for your audio input jack, which is next to that, and that's an 1/8 inch TRS stereo. Then you have an assignable or expression pedal input. Then you have your damper or switched pedal input. And then for line inputs, you have line inputs on this, which is really cool. So you have left or mono, or left and right separate for stereo. Any device that puts out a stereo signal or mono at the line level, you can hook that up to here. You can actually hook up another keyboard from their line outs to the line ins here and save yourself on bringing a mixer. Then you've got your DC 12 volt input from your mains, and then you have a USB B jack on the back. The A jack is in the front, so it makes it easier for you to put in a thumb drive or a flash drive so that you can record yourself with it. Then you have the old 5-pin DIN legacy MIDI jacks. You got MIDI in and your MIDI out/through. And just like on the PX-S3000, the headphone jacks, 2 of them, 1/8 inch, are in the front. Okay. So obviously we've talked about the 5.3 inch color touchscreen, which is awesome. And what's great about this is you can display up to 4 instruments of your choice at once. So if I go right into here, you'll see that I've got 4 instruments here. A grand piano concert, a stereo string 1, synth strings 1, and an acoustic bass 1. It could be any 4 instruments of my choice. And you can set a split point here. So basically you've got 2 instruments on the lower part of your split and 2 on the upper part of your split. But the way I have this set up, I've set the split point to the very top key so that each instrument has the full 88 keys. So if I'm using grand piano concert, stereo strings, this is layer, but if I just want the strings, and I've got the full keyboard for that. And down here, here's the synth strings and acoustic bass. And setting the split point is so easy. You just hold split and press the key where you want the split point. This is a little similar, but everything on the PX-S3000 goes through menus. So you got menus and submenus, so it takes a while to get from one place to the other, which is what makes the 560 ideal for gigging. Now, when I'm gigging with the band, what happens is we don't really use a set list. Instead, we read the audience. So if we're doing a slow song, people are dancing, slow dancing, but you got other people that you can tell they want to get on the dance floor, but they want to move. So the band leader might call it, let's do this song next. And I know what parts I need to do. I just need to get those parts on the screen so I can get to them. And that's harder to do on the 3000 if you're doing everything at random. Sure, you can set up registrations and all that stuff, but if you're doing something you haven't done before, then you got a problem. With this, it's easy. I can fly around this whole system with that touchscreen. It is that helpful. And in fact, because of this, and because of how well it's laid out, I would choose this, and I have chosen this, over other keyboards twice the price, just because of how easy it is to get around on that. Now, in addition to the pitch bend wheel that you have here, which is also here, you also have a modulation wheel. Now, I think this is the only keyboard in the world that has pitch bend and modulation with built-in speakers. I can't think of another one that has that. But anyway, something to think about. Then you've got 3 assignable knobs over here, as opposed to 2. Now, the two assignable knobs here, notice I didn't say programmable, assignable. Basically, you only have 14 choices of what you can assign to these. They're pre-assigned, and you pick one of 14. And they come in pairs. So you can't say, I want knob 1 to do something and knob 2 completely unrelated. It doesn't work that way. You can do that with the PX-560. Now, the 3 assignable knobs here pretty much default to EQ. EQ low, mid, and high, which is really nice, because if I want to get to EQ here, I got to go through menus. Now, this is where the Cordana Play for Piano app works out well, because that turns this into a touch screen. You know, not quite the same, but it helps. Also, I can layer 2 sounds to the left side of a split, which I can't do here. And speaking of layering, this has hex tones. So you can actually have hex 6 tones counting as one sound. You can mix or layer up to 6 sounds and call it one thing. Now, because you can have up to 4 selections at once, each one can be a hex layer. So that hex layer, each one can have 6. So you've got 6 times 4, 24 unique sounds that you can layer using just 4 hex layers, because each hex layer counts as a single sound or a single tone. That is so cool. And hex layers, I've done a separate video that covers just hex layers. While it can get complex, once you learn it, there's so many things that you can do with it. I mean, yes, you can split the keyboard here, but when you're using hex layers, you can do splits within splits. It's so cool. Now, this has 256 note polyphony on the 560, whereas the new PX-S3000 only has 192 notes of polyphony. But when you're layering 24 sounds, you're going to need that 256 notes of polyphony as opposed to just 192. 192 is great for what this is. Now, you also have a 17-track Midi recorder here. And I can put some complex arrangements together on this, which would otherwise require a computer with software and a DAW. But for this, I don't need to turn on a computer. I can just come here and use it as a scratch pad and all those tracks and everything and perfect it later with a DAW. But with this, I only have a 3-track Midi recorder. And up to 5 songs, I believe. This one's up to 100 songs. Now, the sounds here are fully editable versus limited effects editing here. Well, let me show you. Here's a... Okay, now, if I go to the effects over here, let's go to knob. Now, if I want to use reverb and adjust that, I go to the next one, where knob 1 is brilliance and knob 2 is reverb. Which is cool by itself. But again, I have to go through menus and choose the effects that I want and then go ahead and twiddle those knobs. That's one way. There's other ways, but again, it uses menus, and with this touchscreen, it is so easy. Now, let me show you something super cool with editing on this. So, let's start with the grand piano concert, and we'll go to the edit menu and choose edit, and we're going to look at filter and envelope. So, those of you familiar with a sound envelope, you've got the attack and the decay and all that stuff. But watch this over here. If I'm going to do the initial level of attack, you have a graphic display over here. Now I want to do the attack level. Okay, and let's say I want to do the decay level. And the release time. So you've got a graphic editor here for your envelope, for your sound envelope. That is so cool. You don't find this on other pianos that are in this price range. Now, you can also load new sounds onto this. If you go to the Casio music forums, you can find sounds that you like that other people have created, or Mike Martin from Casio himself, or Dave Weiser. If you're in this field, you know who these people are. And you got some awesome sounds here that are not included here. You got 650 sounds that are included on the PX-560 and 400 user areas to store your own creations with. Whereas on this one, you have 700 sounds and you can limit, you have some limited ability to edit the effects, whereas this is full. Also, you've got raw waveforms like square waves, sine waves, triangles. You can create your own sounds from there. And all sound levels can easily be gotten to and adjusted quickly. And we're talking about inputs, splits, layers, multi-track levels, and so on the fly, or with mixer settings, or from other menu settings. Now, so that's basically the differences here. And, oh, one more thing. This jog wheel here. I wish this had it, because without that, you're going through the plus and minus keys to go through menus and sound selections and so on and so forth. Anyway, I'm sure I've missed a couple of things, but that's the bulk of it. And besides the price, this is 1.5 times the price of this. This is $799 US. This is $1,199 US. So I hope this has helped you out. Piano Man Chuck, peace out. Thanks for watching.